did have a time change. I guess, us here in the US are so US centric that we forget to tell everybody that there was a time change. And so apparently, a lot of people were expecting the show about an hour ago. Apologies to those who are in that category. However, we're going to take a look at some requests that were already made. I know EURUSD was a request. I'll go back through the messages and see if there are more. Looks like we had a few messages over the weekend to take a look at. And again, this is the beginner live lab. So the messages I'm talking about are in our private group. These are ladies and gentlemen who are over at algofactory.tech. And they actually ask me questions 24/7, and oftentimes I will get to them over the weekend. It might take me a few hours to get to them over the weekend because, of course, it's the weekend. Not a lot of trading going on. So unless I'm really, really hardcore working, doing some back testing, whatever it is, then of course I might not be right at the computer. But if you go to this website here at the bottom of the screen, algofactory.tech, zap the QR code, it can take you over to our website, tell us who we are, what we do, so on and so forth. In the meantime, we'll get back to that later in the course here. Just understand that we help people learn how to trade, and we help people build trading methods, and even help people go down the path of programming that trading method into a coded algorithm that can trade for them as they walk away. But all that is interesting stuff we'll get to, like I said, later in the show. In the meantime, we do have questions. People want to look at the charts. They want to see Bitcoin. They want to see the EUR, USD. I know that my man March, who I've known for years now, he wanted to see Solana. So now I don't know if my Solana chart is still up. Let me see if I still have all the notation on it. I haven't shared the screen yet, so don't worry. Let's see here. I'm going to see if my notation is still on the screen, and if it is, or even if it's not, we'll look at it either way. So let me see here. That's KuCoin. Looks like I might have erased all my notation, which is fine. I'll bring up a picture of it. I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna share the screen, so everybody hold on to your hats. Just zooming in now. Sharing the screen. Okay. And I will bring up this photo here. If you can, man, that's gonna be too small. You guys are not gonna be able to see that. All right, that's all right. Well, at least you can see the detail. You might be able to kind of clue into what kind of detail is on there. That does look like a lot of gobbledygook, but for those who are in our courses, you would understand that pretty easily, actually. There's just a lot of notation on there explaining what can happen, what may not happen, different areas of structure, things like that. So since Sol was already given and I don't have a very ready version of that for everybody to see, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Let me see here. We got... Okay. Who asked... Watch it 20. Happy Monday. EU. Okay, so Brad King wants to see EUR USD. By the way, if you're watching this over on YouTube, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, do all the stuff that helps our algos. All that stuff that you always hear the people say at the beginning of the show. Do those things. It helps us out. We haven't really marketed outward yet. We did a kind of a soft open. We wanted to make sure everything was working properly. While the price was inexpensive, the people who are trusting us with their time and money, who got in with us early, are going to be able to keep that discounted price. As we market out, we are going to raise the price. You do have the ability to get in at the inexpensive price. Just go ahead and head over to the website, algofactory.tech, zap the QR code. There it is on the screen. I'll leave it up for a couple seconds while I arrange this chart for the euro. Yeah, so the euro is flipping bullish. And let's see. Yeah, I made some money on it Friday, just a little scalping. I didn't work yet. I probably should have worked yesterday. Of course, I had a lot going on in the household yesterday, so I didn't look at the computer. I had some long trades set up, and I didn't take them because I was busy. That's just life. Got some little ones here. But if you look at this is a weekly chart, right? It's got pretty solid vector down here from July 17th through the 23rd. So now we are having a bounce upward, and the algos are indicating that that bounce is not done yet, although nothing moves in a straight line. So what does that mean? Well, if we move to a lower time frame, what we'll see is that price is starting to come up against a resistance. When I say resistance, yes, there are some structural resistance. There's some old pivot points that price may have a hard time breaking past, one of them being this one in particular. This one here is where price is right now. So there is a fair amount of structural resistance, to be sure. I think price is going to kind of rotate down. If it makes it all the way up to this higher area, I think it'll rotate down first. And in fact, I think could be rotating down pretty quickly. By the way, if you hear a little beep in the background, yeah, that's because my fire alarm's acting stupid. It was beeping, and then I reset it yesterday, and then it continued to beep again last night. So I may just have to unplug it until I get it figured out. So you're going to hear a little chirp every so often. But if you look at the chart, I think we're looking at a pullback that might look something like this. Now, this is a daily time frame, so this is a higher time frame. You're looking at something I'm going to have to zoom in and refine, but I think we might see something like this. Might be shallower than that, might only go down to here, but I think price is getting ready to kind of pull back. Might not happen right away. Let me zoom in to further refine that. Let's see here. Just got to view some things. Yeah. You can see that price is, of course, as price does, nothing goes up in a straight line, and it's wanted to go up this whole time, but we did just have kind of a multi-week breakout, right? So when price breaks out of a range, it tends to continue in that direction a little bit more violently than it was doing before it broke out of the range, right? Because just by definition. So you had a bit of a range here. It's not that well defined, but it's definable. So now the price is broken out, what it may want to do is, if you look here, there was a bit of structure through which price broke handily or handsomely. You want to say that. Let me delete those last two. Didn't mean to put those there. And you look here, that range more or less kind of topped out here, more or less kind of in this area, and price, had one breakout above right here at this red arrow with this Roman numeral 3, and then price kind of finally broke out above this. So this was a piece of structure that pretty much just got blown right through right there. And there's a decent chance that if and when price turns back around, and I'm pretty sure that it will, it may only just dip that far. It may not go very far back, because now price is in a breakout, right? So the momentum upward seems to be pretty strong. It can change, but as of now, I would expect the euro to either make its way down here, or perhaps before it makes its way down there, it may test this higher structure. Let's get my path out here. It may test this higher structure. Now you're looking at a 3-hour chart, right? So this might take a day or two. It might do something like that. So you're going to have to rely on your algos to have better clues as to whether or not this is happening. There are those who just will short, right, structure. Not my style. But if you look at this top structure here, it's, there's no price action covering up this pivot point that I'm going to highlight right here. You have this pivot point that I just put a box around, okay? So going in the past, we're looking at some old price action. But between the current price, which is obviously right here, the current, let me get my arrows out to illustrate this a little bit better. This arrow will do. Current price right here. This is your pivot point from the past. And you'll notice that in between these two areas, there is no price action, right? So structure is completely naked and open to, price, which means that it may have a pretty considerable effect. So that being the case, I would be looking at this area, in this way. Okay, so you have a lot of attempts to break above this area being rejected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wicks, right? So price really wanted to come up here and got crammed down. And then because it was such a strong attempt to go up, the move down actually ended up being pretty considerable. And that created a pivot point at this structure line. So this 1.07688 is aligned with which price must contend. It is currently contending with 1.07386 and has already broken above and then come back below, broken and closed above, come back below. So the probability for price to actually continue up a bit is there. It could also continue down. Algorithmically, it's kind of at that delicate point where it could go either way. So, when your algos are kind of, a little bit blind, if you will, a lot of times that's where it's like, okay, well, it might be that price turns around. Like that's when your indicators, if you will, are not giving you a lot of clues and price is sitting at structure. There is a decent probability that shorting that is not the worst way to go. But the problem is that with just shorting at structure, the problem in this case especially is that the momentum upwards is pretty strong, right? So it could break right through. So it's not something I personally like to do. Although if you do short right at structure, a lot of times your risk to reward can be much greater. So there are advantages to doing that as well. So let's see here. Brad says, I'm getting BTC 40K within 7 days. I don't know, Brad. That's... I mean, I can tell you basically what the algo looks like. That's not the kind of thing I usually will say. I mean, I can tell you price is bullish. I can also tell you price is at a place where it wants to flip around possibly, but there at the last time I looked at liquidity, there's a fair amount of liquidity below price, but it won't generally go towards that liquidity until the charts favor a move down. And at this point, I don't see the charts favoring a move down, not a protracted one anyway. Look, most of the liquidity is below price. So if you're looking at the screen, then you're going to see that there's a lot of liquidity below price, right? Now you do have some liquidity up here at like 40,000, then price could move up there. And as long as the charts favor a move up, then price probably will continue up and it will continue up towards this liquidity. But the thing is that price hasn't broken 38,000. 38,000 is key level. So until price breaks 38,000, I'm not comfortable saying anything about, about whether or not price is going to break that. Let's see. So I will go ahead and take a look at the chart. Again, price still has that upward momentum. It's also against resistance, right? And you have all this liquidity sitting. There's some directly below price sitting at like 34.7, 34.9, and price has been kind of eating up that local liquidity back and forth like the last week or two. It's just consistently doing that. You'll have liquidity build up right below price. All the moon boys have tight stops. They think price is going to go to 50,000, and then they put their tight stops right here. And these are not, this is all leverage. These are not just like 100x leverage, right? So I think eventually price will make its way down to low 20s, but I could be wrong too. That may not happen. So as of now, again, the charts don't favor a move down right now, but that can change really quickly. So knowing Bitcoin, look, what you're looking at right now looks like a bar head. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, that's about the right time frame. Let's see. Yeah, as of now, you have your volatility is starting to drop, and it's real dicey. It could go either way. On a lower time frame, it wants to head down, but that doesn't mean it's going to, because in a higher time frame, it wants to head up. And volatility on this is the time frame that seems relevant to this plateau, because just the shape of the plateau in general might even be that next time frame up. Volatility is dropping, but nothing's going to happen really until volatility drops a little bit lower, probably. That's usually when the big moves happen, and that's on the daily time frame. So I don't really see a large move happening yet. This kind of volatility may take, let me see, 8, 9. I mean, a week, it could drop in a week. So if you're looking at a 7-day, if you're looking at a 7-day kind of situation, then I think a move will happen in 7 days, right? I do. But here's the problem with going upwards. There isn't a ton of liquidity up there, and price is at a resistance. It's not to say it won't go up, because it very well could. That's price momentum is in the bullish direction. But remember, it's also at an SMI dip on the 18th October. I mean on the weekly. So it's up against a lot of resistance. Probably, even if it goes up, it may want to dive down and grab liquidity. But honestly, to answer that question, that's too soon for me to answer it. I wouldn't answer that either way. It's just, I'm not going to answer something that I don't have the data for. Okay, we got the gorilla in the house. What is up?
Good morning. Happy Monday. Did somebody say data?
Data.
Data then data.
What is it? What is it? In order to make bricks, I need mud.
That's right.
So, yep. No, we just Bitcoin. I had a question about Bitcoin and what I think is going to happen in a week, and it's right now its price is at a decision point. So it may go up, it may go down. It just depends on what the charts favor, what happens. But there's not, my algo doesn't say anything right now. So just going to see what happens. The charts in the moment on a higher time frame favor a move up, right? Volatility is still relatively high on what I think is the relevant time frame. So until that volatility drops, which might take about a week, then we're not going to have any clues as to which way price will go. So I have to wait for volatility to drop. That's just how that will go. I'm going to put a mark here at 25, and I will coordinate this at 25, and I will do an alarm. Relevant time frame, chart favor, liquidity. And so until volatility drops to the levels it needs to drop to, then I'm not expecting a big move. There'll be small moves. Like if you look at this, maybe I'll wait for the. There's a formula to tell when like a kind of a move is coming. Maybe we'll wait until the Algo Factory, and this works really well with Bitcoin, right? So with Bitcoin, there is an indicator out there that we need to talk about. And it does kind of tell you when a large move is coming. It's not the squeeze indicator, which actually is another one that a lot of people use. This one actually is a combination of indicators, and it'll signal you when a large move is coming. We actually have had conversations about that in the last week or two, but we'll just go over it, coming up soon. So what's up, man? Did you have a good weekend? Is there anything we need to know that remember we're in the free live lab? So we got anything that we want to share with the public before we move on to whatever people want to see in the charts?
No, there's lots going on, but anything secret or up to date that's pertinent, that's only for the private members. So for those that are listening on the live lab, listen, look, you cannot afford not to be part of Algo Factory, especially the skills that we're teaching you in terms of trading, in terms of developing an algorithm that trades on your behalf, but also understanding the geopolitical world and how that affects you and the markets and where you can profit. It's like nowhere else. It's like nothing else. AlgoFactory.tech, and you got to join us there to find out what the heck's really going on. And that's just what I'm saying, cowboy.
Yep. No, that's it. That's how we do. And again, I'll give a couple nuggets to the public. That way they can have a little bit, but we can't reveal too much here. This is the free to the public. Free, it means free. So you're going to get anything big, you got to pay for it. I can tell you last Monday, that was it Monday? What day did we have the drips? Was it Thursday?
No, that was Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday one, yeah.
monumental. It was huge. I know we talked about it on the Rogue Show on Thursday.
Yep.
That was massive, dude. That was something else. Yeah, the daylight savings time threw everybody off. People around the world, they don't switch.
We need to stop doing this whole backwards and forwards. It's annoying. It needs to stop.
Well, my understanding is that it's a relic from the industrial era.
I heard it was a relic from the farming era.
Somebody else was saying that right now. I mean, the sun comes up, the sun goes down. I don't think anybody cares about that. I think the reason it matters is because farmers don't need to know what time it is in that sense. The sun goes up. The sun is their clock. The way I think it was during the early industrial era when using lights used to cost a lot more money than it does right now.
Yeah.
Because we have much better light bulbs and so on and so forth. The factories would open up their, because the sun comes out later in the wintertime, so they would move the clocks so that the sun would be out earlier, so they wouldn't have to use as many lights, and then save energy that way. That's how I heard it. Yeah. So. By the way, you hear a little, I told everybody at the beginning, you feel a little chirping in the background today. My fire alarm went off. Now, not went off, but it started chirping. And so yesterday morning, I went up to reset it. And in this current fire alarm system, which is plugged in, there's no battery per se, at least not that I know of. When you reset one, you reset them all and they all go off. And I'm not going to be doing that at, 5 or 6 in the morning with sleeping children. So just got to deal with the beeping. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to probably get up there and just, get some information, learn about it. If I can't figure it out, I'll just take the damn thing out and put in another one. Dude, drive me nuts. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's why they did the daylight saving. So a lot of people were like, when's the show? And it's like, it's not for another hour. So we had that. But yeah, we've been looking at charts. We did a good Sol Solana chart over the weekend. So if you're in Algo Factory, then you got to see that Solana chart, and that pretty much has been going as planned. March was trading Solana, right? So he had heard some FUD on Solana, and I was like, no, it's bullish according to the charts right now. So I gave him some levels, pretty extensive. You can look in there, V, in the chat. You'll see how extensive that chart is, and that was done like on a Saturday. So people who want to be a part of Algo Factories, I can't promise that I'm going to get to your questions on the weekend, but generally I do. It might take me a few hours, but I did a pretty extensive chart for Solana on the middle of a Saturday, so I don't mind doing that. Yesterday was intensive. My daughter's my little infant newborn, not newborn now, she's like 6 weeks old, but or 7 weeks. She's time flies. I have a 2-month-old daughter. She's like, she cries a lot, dude, a little colicky, so driving mama crazy. She had kept mama up almost all night. My wife only got like, I think, an hour's worth of straight sleep, so I was up. I'm not gonna make her go down like that on a Sunday. Let her get some rest. I kind of had play with my son all day, took him outside, let him play in the leaves, let my wife and my daughter sleep. So yesterday I wasn't as active as I could have been, and it's a bummer because I had long, I had long signals set up on the EUR USD. When it closed down on Friday, it was getting ready to pop, and of course, all my alarms are going off on Sunday, but I'm like, I can't do nothing. I mean, I guess I could have put my kid to playpen and let him cry, but sometimes you just got to spend time with family, dude. And let me tell you something, folks, a good lesson for everybody to hear before we flip over to the private. We can talk more about this tool for learning how Bitcoin especially makes these big moves and when it's going to make it and how to predict it. Before we get into that, before we flip over to that, one thing to know psychologically, there's always going to be another trade, right? So there's FOMO and there's FOMO. FOMO is a concept, fear of missing out. And you have this big move up that you see on the screen of Bitcoin. And so it's moving up, and a lot of people will buy it right here, way up high. Now, in this case, they would not be that far ahead. There's a decent chance they're going to lose because I think price is going to drop. At least that's what I thought a few days ago. Price has persisted in being bullish, and I don't think we're going to see a big move in either direction, at least for a few days. But there's a decent chance price could head down because we took a look at this liquidity, right? So those who bought way up here because they're like, oh no, price is going up, I gotta get into it, right? I gotta buy it. You're buying towards the top. And what you're really doing probably is you're filling the orders of the smart money who are going short. So you're filling their orders. You are basically exit liquidity for them. You buying at the top is what allows them to get out of their positions into cash. And then you're going to ride it all the way down and they're going to buy the bottom. I'm not saying that's happening every time, and I'm not saying it's happening this time, but that's generally the case. And that's called FOMO, because price is going up and you got the FOMO, you got the fear of missing out, and you want to buy. I can't miss out. I can't miss the trade. Well, guess what? Then you get 9 times out of 10 or whatever. Not so that's the exact, it's not the exact amount that it happens, but very often you end up getting screwed on that. So the way to do trading is to have an algorithm that is going, and when I say algorithm, it doesn't mean it's got to be programmed into a computer and automatically trade for you. It could be manual, which is what most people do anyway. Even people who know how to program algorithms are also trading manually. It's, hard coding your algos is another science altogether, right? So as long as you have a method that's going to help you have a decent idea of when price is going to move up, right? Like maybe you don't catch that very first move, but you get that move happens, and then your algos are saying it's going to continue up. You could actually catch a move that looks like this, and that's amazing. That's a 3-to-1. That's maybe you didn't get it right here at the bottom. Maybe you can't predict that it's going to head up like it did. Some people can. Maybe your algo is really that good. But if you have an algo that allows you to very calmly predict in a probabilistic fashion what's going to happen in the future, you can kind of be in that group of the smart money. Instead of buying way the hell up here where you can't really make as much money, you can buy way the heck down here and be in that group. And FOMO is a mistake. FOMO is the fear of missing out. Okay. And so, that's just something that one wants to avoid seriously. And that's what the smart money plans on. They plan on the FOMO. So plan on your FOMO. That's what they plan on. So that being the case, there's always another trade. There's always another trade. Look at this. Let's go way back. Not way back. Let's go back to the beginning of the year. There's this move. People bought that top, and then they got hurt. Maybe they sold. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they hung out here.Maybe they made a little bit of money, but they could have hung back and bought way down here instead of buying way up here. And look, there's always another trade. Lots of moves up. There's another move up. Another move up. I can go back through history, or if you're going short, lots of moves down. Lots of moves down here. You got moves up here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there is a plethora, there is a virtually infinite amount of trades when you trade. There's always going to be another trade. If we run into a world where the markets end and there's not another trade, then that's going to be the least of your problems. You would be living in caves at that point. So there's always going to be another trade. So if you miss a trade, don't worry about it. Just get the next one. There's a million trades. There's virtually infinite trades. Don't FOMO. Don't FOMO into green candles. In this case, blue. I use blue. I do not recommend FOMOing. I don't recommend anything. I just wouldn't recommend anything. We're not financial or investment advisors here. But I'm saying that I look in the mirror to myself and I say, don't FOMO. Happens all the time. That's what I got, though. That's all I got for the morning. So, Gorilla, can you please give us that send-off so we can kind of start getting into detail and showing these cats how to predict these moves?
Look, guys, here's the deal. You don't want to be sitting on the sidelines wondering why life is passing you by. Listen, get active. We're about to hit 2024. Let's get active. Let's get out there. Let's start crushing it right now, folks. Get over to us, algofactory.tech. Join us now. Look, you can't afford not to. Cowboy, let's get into it.